All right, you got my catchphrases for me?
Hey viewers, remember the time we talked about the worst Family Guy characters? No cutaway gag? Oh well, don't worry, we'll tell you all about it. Not everyone in Quahog can be as funny as Peter Griffin, as nice as Cleveland Brown, or even as wacky as Adam West. These are the major Family Guy characters who do the least things that make us laugh. Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Bench, and these are the worst Family Guy characters and why they suck.
Get ready, Brian.
With that being said, let's start with Meg Griffin. Meg is mostly just on this list as a formality. One of the most famous running gags in Family Guy, especially in the later seasons, is the entire cast bullying poor Meg. It's not that there's anything particular about Meg that makes her deserving of this, aside from her stupid face and dumb pink hat and Peter, get out of the writer's room. As we were saying, Meg is mostly a normal teenage girl. She can certainly be irritating, often coming off as insane and extremely egotistical, but a couple of bad and or wacky character traits are par for the course for Family Guy.
I think it's pretty terrifying.
If we had to peg why she sticks out, aside from the obvious running gag, it's probably because Meg isn't as funny as many of the other characters to counteract how annoying she can occasionally be. She does have her moments though, and she's beloved by many fans, which is why she isn't any higher. But however you feel about Meg, one thing's for sure, a list like this would not be complete without her. Next, we have Vern and Johnny. Similar to Meg, they're on the list as a formality. There was a running gag in the earlier seasons where oftentimes Vern would show up to make some fast-paced observations about whatever was going on, followed by a catchy piano riff by Johnny. Pretty innocent, right? Well, apparently, some fans didn't feel the same. In the season 5 episode, Saving Private Brian, Stewie kills them, breaking the fourth wall to assure the audience that they will never return.
Okay, they're dead, all right? We're not going to be seeing them again.
This suggests that many fans of Family Guy, at least at the time, were annoyed by this running gag. In all honesty, we kinda liked it, but we have to respect the masses. Oh, also, their ghosts appear as a cameo later, and it's revealed that Johnny went to hell on account of the fact that he liked little boys. So yeah, we don't feel too bad about putting him here at least. Sorry to you though, Vern, you did your best. We honestly feel bad for putting Vinnie the dog on this list, since he didn't necessarily do anything to deserve his placement. When Brian was killed off in the season 12 episode, Life of Brian, Vinnie came in as his replacement. He's got a fun Italian mob guy shtick. He was willing to sacrifice his place in the Griffin family to reunite Stewie and Brian, and honestly, seems like a genuinely nice guy. Unfortunately, while there's nothing necessarily wrong with Vinnie, he represents one of the most infamous Family Guy moments of all time, the death and almost immediate revival of Brian Griffin.
Damn it, Brian, you can't die!
And despite being a fine character, the fact that he replaced a character fans had grown attached to over the course of 12 seasons left a bad taste in the fans' mouths. Honestly though, our biggest problem with Vinnie is that he only lasted for 3 episodes. Replacement or not, Vinnie was a good dog and he deserved much better than what he got. Next is Neil Goldman. While a character designed to make the audience cringe can be fun to an extent, they're still, well, gonna make the audience cringe. It takes some great skill to keep a character like Neil on the funny end rather than the annoying end.
Hey, can you check my back for kick me signs?
And unfortunately, he often falls over the line. Neil is usually on the sidelines, but his creepy, stalker-like obsession with Meg makes most of his appearances less than welcome. He's totally fine with his father buying Meg as his girlfriend and exploits an image of their kiss to sell merchandise. A kiss which, mind you, was a pity kiss, given in what they believe to be their last moments alive. Now we have Connie DAmico, the stereotypical mean girl of the ensemble cast. Her role in the series more or less begins and ends as Meg's bully. The best moments involving Connie are those in which she gets a taste of her own medicine, like when Brian went off on her in Barely Legal, or even getting beaten up by Peter and Peter's daughter. Okay, maybe they were a little brutal, but come on, nobody likes a bully, and to make things even worse in Connie's case, she's not even particularly funny. For a Family Guy character, being funny is very important, so an unfunny character is naturally worth some points taken off.
All right, we're just gonna step outside and figure out a counter.
Diane Simmons of Quahog Channel 5 News is next. At first, she was a harmless character. As Tom Tucker's co-anchor, they had some pretty funny banter on the Quahog News. However, this all changed in the special murder mystery episode, And Then There Were Fewer, in which, spoiler alert, Diane was revealed to be the murderer. She intended to kill James Woods and frame Tom Tucker for it, to get back at James Woods for breaking her heart, and to ensure she would be the sole anchor of the Channel 5 News. It was sad to see a beloved recurring joke character fall so far from grace, and, you know, literally fall off a cliff to her death at the end of the episode.
Oh my God.
And hey, at least she was a big part of one of our favorite episodes of Family Guy. Herbert the Pervert was probably the most difficult character to place. Honestly, we'd feel weird no matter where we put him. One of the most iconic gag characters in the entire series. His shtick is that he's a child predator. That considered, it should go without saying why he's on this list. Like Quagmire, he treads a very fine line between hilarious and uncomfortable.
How can this not be a trap?
Many fans find him to represent the latter more often than not, quite reasonably we might add. As to why he isn't higher, well, okay, to paraphrase Stewie in one episode, nothing's been done about Herbert, but it's mostly because he's so funny. We won't deny that Herbert is a creep, and one of, if not the most off-putting characters in the cast, but he's also one of the most hilarious. For every moment he makes us absolutely grimace, there's another, like that really funny Somewhere That's Green cover he did. It helps Herbert's case that he's consistently treated like a gag character who isn't meant to be taken seriously.
It's not me, I'm in your closet.
Like we said, funny is worth a lot on this list, but humor is subjective, and to some fans, Herbert never falls out of that uncomfortable category. With that said, the middle of the list is just about the best place for him. Now we have Carter Schmidt, and he's going to be kicking off the bottom half of our list. We'll submit one thing about Carter: he's funny, but beyond that, Carter is just awful. He's an unfaithful husband, having cheated on his wife several times. If that weren't enough, he also beat her when meeting her in the 20th century. Not a very wholesome way to start their relationship. He also always mistreats Peter, who just wants a genuine relationship with him. Knowing Peter's awful parental figures growing up, this is even sadder. Worse still is the fact that the show oftentimes tries to make Carter sympathetic, and unlike Quagmire, he is all bad.
Hey, there's all my favorite people.
There's no way to make us sympathize with a character who pranks orphans into believing they'll be adopted, only to run off at the last moment. Though he is pretty funny, at least. That's more than we can say for just about any of the characters beneath him. Next is Joe's wife, Bonnie Swanson. One of the many characters in the series who fell from grace as time went on, Bonnie started her legacy on the show as one of the nicer characters. She was a sweet, supportive wife to Joe, who loved and cherished him despite his handicap. But as time went on, Bonnie changed significantly. The once sweet and amicable woman turned bitter and spiteful. She's passive-aggressive with Joe, even wishing death on him at times. In the episode Brian the Closer, she looks at her house near a steep cliff, heavily suggesting that she planned to kill Joe. She also went to Paris to have an affair and felt absolutely no remorse for it. She even had an affair with another guy in a wheelchair.
It's like I'm in a dream.
Have you no shame, Bonnie? The one thing saving her from an even lower spot is that Joe isn't exactly a perfect husband either, but he's still a lot better than her though. Now we have the one-time antagonist, Jeff Finkelman. His character can be summarized as Quagmire's sister's abusive boyfriend and soon-to-be husband, who's simultaneously treated as comical and a genuine threat, which is a major part of why this is one of the more problematic episodes of the series.
He's just gonna keep beating her, and then he's gonna beat the kid too.
We don't feel sorry for him being killed by Quagmire and company in this episode. He got what was coming to him. If he appeared more often though, he'd almost certainly be higher. Bertram. Talk about wasted potential. In the early episode, A Mission Impossible, Stewie meets him in Peter's private area while trying to sabotage his and Lois's attempt to have a new child. The two duke it out to decide whether Bertram will be born, but Stewie ultimately relents, finding his newfound rivalry with Bertram to be fun.
I'll stop them from the inside.
Later, Bertram is born properly through a sperm bank mix-up, but his frenemy rivalry with Stewie is all but forgotten. He serves only as an antagonist to Stewie, and to make matters worse, he only appears in 2 more episodes after his debut. After season 4's sibling rivalry, where he and Stewie have a playground war, he doesn't show up at all until season 9's The Big Bang Theory, in which he goes back in time to kill Leonardo da Vinci, which will prevent Stewie from being born and thereby stop the universe from being created.
Da Vinci is your ancestor.
We would have loved to see a fleshed out rivalry between Bertram and Stewie, maybe even how he might interact with other members of the Griffin family like Peter, who is his biological father, but he's unfortunately killed off in his 3rd and final appearance. It's a shame that a character with so much potential was wiped out so quickly. The bronze medal of worst Family Guy character goes to Peter's adoptive father, Francis Griffin. Having died back in season 5, we didn't see all that much of Francis before he was taken out of the show, and honestly, that's for the best. He's a straight-laced Catholic man, and let us assure you, there's not even a hint of Jesus' love in this guy. In fact, he might be the meanest character in the entire series. He's cruel and spiteful to Peter and his family. He's bitter, overly critical, and just difficult to watch, never failing to make us feel bad for Peter.
I know what you're doing in there.
He's a nasty character, and we're glad he's out of the picture. Look, Carter might be awful, but at least he's funny. The silver medal goes to Loretta Brown. Those mainly familiar with the later seasons of the series may not even remember her, but she was Cleveland's wife in the earlier seasons. She would honestly be an entirely forgettable character, aside from being generally naggy and mean, were it not for the episode that Cleveland Loretta Quagmire, in which she cheats on Cleveland with Quagmire. Surprisingly, it wasn't even Quagmire seducing Loretta, she went after him, wanting to have an affair, with the reasoning of Cleveland being too passive. When Quagmire is the more moral character in a situation, you know you've screwed up royally. Mistreating a character as sweet as Cleveland is a major mark against Loretta.
You name the time and the place, little Nick.
Add on the fact that this is quite genuinely the only memorable aspect of her character, and you have one of Family Guy's weakest and most unlikable characters. But real quick, before we get to our last entry, if you're enjoying this video, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Thanks a lot, guys. The gold medal of Family Guy's worst character goes to Brian Griffin. Hey, put your pitchforks and torches away, let us explain. At the beginning of Family Guy's run, Brian was one of the best, most important, and overall likable characters. He acted as Peter's conscience, giving him advice and a reliable ear to listen.
Peter, I don't think you should be driving with your feet.
But as time went on, he developed his own identity as a civil rights activist, trying to find his place in the world. This all combined to make Brian a memorable and pivotal character, not to mention his hilarious dynamic with Stewie. But as the show went on, Brian fell from grace, and he fell hard. It's no secret that Family Guy has suffered from pretty bad seasonal rot, and while many characters went downhill as a result, we have to say Brian got the worst of it, by far. He's turned into a pretentious, arrogant jerk who is incredibly superficial, and now seems like every joke about Brian is either everyone around him mistreating him and his achievements, or about how much of an awful person he is. He only dates women for their looks, takes advantage of them frequently, reconnected with his illegitimate son only to consequently go years without speaking to him at all, and look, we'd be here all day if we discussed every awful thing he's done. Just watch Quagmire's roast of him, honestly. What puts Brian at the top of our list is that what's been done to him in the newer seasons of Family Guy is a complete betrayal of his original character. A character who was once the complex, sympathetic voice of reason with strong beliefs but basic respect has become an incredibly obnoxious egotist who believes he's better than everyone else. He's not just a character who lost his charm, he's a character who lost his charm and was transformed into something unrecognizable. It's sad to see, and for that we have to say that the new Brian Griffin is without a doubt the worst character in Family Guy.